Hello and welcome to video number 5 in our virtual festival 2020, and another 5-minute video will be looking at bright stars, constellations and deep sky objects. Okay, so we're going to go back to our main display, and you can see I've got the time set to 6:30 tonight, and we're just going to start that off. So it's running. When it gets there, eventually, there we go. So we finished off looking kind of towards the east, and we looked at M45, and we looked at Taurus the Bull and this bright star here in Aldebaran. So what we're going to do is have a little look around at other bright stars to see what we can see. So we can see here there's another bright star called Capella. Again, we're just going to look around. Now you're going to see you might see a familiar pattern here. The Big Dipper, pointing towards Polaris, the pole star. But we're talking about bright stars, and these aren't particularly bright. So here's Vega, which is another bright star, and Altair. Again, these are all bright stars, so they're easier to see. One of the common misconceptions about this star, the North Star, is that it's big and bright. It isn't. If you have a look around, it's fairly ordinary in terms of brightness. So don't be caught out with that if you ever have to navigate by stars and thinking that big bright one is the North Star. It's not likely to be. It's likely to be Capella or Sirius or any of the other very bright stars that we see in the Northern Hemisphere. Anyway, a way to remember these stars and where they belong to is to use constellations. Now, constellations, one of the methods that we actually use is to draw lines around the stars or between the stars that are grouped loosely together. So as I mentioned earlier, it's to do with some of the stories. And again, if you look at these, this down here, it looks like two stick people. And of course it is. It's the Gemini, it's the twins. So they're the stick people. And again, looking at some of the art, there's the Ursa Major, the Great Bear, Ursa Minor, the Little Bear. We've got Draco the Dragon, upside down. And we've got Hercules, upside down as well. And again, this is one of my favourite stars, Vega. And there's a deep space object. And I'm just going to turn this facility on, and I'm just going to get rid of the art so we can focus down on this object here, M57, Messier 57, and I'm just going to get rid of those markers. And you can see this is what they call the Ring Nebula, and again this is in the constellation of Lyra. And if I just come back, you'll see the picture. And Lyra being the depiction, he says, of a harp. Okay, so this is a really bright star, one of the nicest bright stars you can see. Anyway, we're going to go to another constellation in the east, where we were looking a bit earlier. And we just want to look at some deep sky objects. So again, this is where you need your telescope, and I'm just going to get rid of the art and the some of the other names, and we're just going to look in, and I'll put some pointers on to make this a bit easier. Now all these M numbers are Messier. Charles Messier 400 years ago started to look for comets in the night sky, and he got fed up with spotting all these fuzzy things. So let's have a look at M37 and have a look at it. You see, it's just a star cluster. But these he used to get all excited because he saw this fuzzy thing and he thought it was a comet. And so much so, as time went by, he was discovering more and more fuzzy things. A bit like that fuzzy thing then. He says, oh, look, there's a, that looks like a comet to me. But of course, when he studied it a bit more, he realised it was another cluster. So Charles Messier came up with a Messier catalogue of over 100 little smudges or mysteries in the sky. This one's M36. And M38, I think, is the last significant one in here. And again, obviously you need telescopes to see these things. And if you take pictures, you get some really detailed images, which look very good. Now this is going to shock you, I know, because it shocked me, but that's fine. I'll time up again. So I think the next one is going to be the last one. We'll have a quick look at maybe the constellation story. And these are big gas clouds while looking in the constellation of Auriga. These are massive gas clouds, as you can see. Right, we shall see you on the next one, which is probably the last one. I hope you've enjoyed them.